North Carolina troopers avoid charges after a pursuit leads to a man's death. Now his family is demanding justice.
State budget squeeze. House lawmakers are facing economic headwinds as they try to write a state budget. We'll show you where Republican budget writers are looking for money and what Democrats have to say about that coming up.
Rain chances aren't over yet. This front is moving through, bringing big changes. I'll break down when you need a jacket and your rain gear for the holiday weekend.
No criminal charges for two state troopers involved in a deadly chase turned crash in Raleigh last year. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty. An investigation showed that two troopers, Garrett Macario and Sergeant Matthew Morrison, lied about that chase, a chase that ended in the death of Tyrone Mason. WRAL's Carly Haynes joining us live. Carly, it's what happened after that crash that really has the family upset about all of this.
And family members have seen that body camera footage, a video that we are still waiting to get released. As WRAL's Sean Gallagher reports, the footage shows troopers trying to distance themselves from their involvement in that chase.
For months, Tyrone Mason's family has been looking for one thing.
And all that we ask is that everyone come together and get justice for my son.
Something they will continue waiting for.
What I would hope that the public would understand is that, bad conduct is not always criminal conduct.
Despite video proof showing Trooper Macario lying about the chase, Freeman says minutes later he told the truth, but she's considering why he lied.
What they talk about is this being Raleigh's problem, i.e. they're the ones that are going to have to investigate it. I think they made an on-the-moment, very poor judgment call.
I think that she's making a poor decision in this matter.
A decision that has the Mason family distraught.
The officers that night not only frustrated due process, but committed obstruction of justice.
But it falls short of obstruction, according to NC Central law professor Irving Joyner.
Lying about involvement in a chase, standing alone, does not confer any criminal or civil liability on the officer.
This is a miscarriage of justice on the highest level.
Emancipate NC's Dawn Blagrove says this further shatters public trust in law enforcement and the justice system.
Even though Lauren Freeman does not have the stomach to prosecute law enforcement officers and protect the people of Wake County, someone has to.
A district attorney stopping short of charging them, but also not trusting them to do their job here.
While we're not pursuing criminal charges, I don't intend to have them operating as law enforcement officers in this district.
Sean Gallagher, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Well, Freeman also says there's a legitimate question of whether these troopers should keep their jobs. So right now, the two men are currently working desk duty. Highway Patrol is conducting their own internal investigation. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Wake County.
And this is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center with some breaking news. Fayetteville police are investigating after a woman was shot at a Wendy's this afternoon. Happened around 4:30 at the Wendy's on Skybow Road, not too far from Cliffdale Road. This is a picture of the scene not long after it happened. Police say that that woman was shot in the leg, or that female was shot in the leg, and looks like she will survive. Apparently she was taken to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center for treatment. They say that bullets struck the front of that Wendy's, but there were no other injuries, and they say the shooters got away. Fayetteville police say they believe this is an isolated incident, and they are still investigating.
All right, Brian, thank you. So let's get you to some breaking news now at the North Carolina legislature. State lawmakers moments away from giving preliminary approval to a state budget. We hear it includes teacher raises, tax cuts, even some state government job cuts. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie, you see her there. She's live for us. Laura, lawmakers, they've been going round and round and round. You've been there for pretty much all of it. How do things appear to be shaping up?
They're not done yet, but basically this is an unusual situation for lawmakers. They're not used to this because for years they've had budget surpluses in North Carolina. This time they're having to actually tighten their budget belt. Republicans have turned to some fairly unusual sources to find the money the state needs to meet its needs. But Democrats, they like some parts of the bill, but they're saying some of these cuts are likely to hurt some of the people who need help the most. Republican budget writers are dealing with an economic squeeze, trying to help Western North Carolina rebuild despite a slowing economy and fewer federal funds, and trying to raise pay for teachers and state employees while losing $1 billion of revenue next year to tax cuts. So they're turning elsewhere to find money, like cutting thousands of mostly vacant state jobs and dipping into some of their reserves.
Money's getting cut from every which way and direction.
The House budget would empty out a Medicaid contingency reserve and move nearly $1 billion into the disaster fund for Helene instead. Democrat Tracy Clark said most of that money should stay with Medicaid because Republicans in Congress are currently debating whether to make deep cuts to that program, and the program is crucial to low-income people.
We have to keep this funding. We don't know what's going to happen at the federal level, so this is smart of us at the state to keep this fund intact.
House Budget Leader Donnie Lambeth said the state can use other money for Medicaid if needed.
And we'll deal with that once we know what those federal issues are. We've tried to consolidate some of the reserves.
Democrats pointed out money wouldn't be so tight if they weren't also cutting corporate income tax rates. Representative Deb Butler said putting those cuts on hold would free up billions of dollars.
Under this budget, the corporate rate continues to race unbridled towards zero, and that is just fundamentally unfair.
Republicans like Neil Jackson voted down that idea without much explanation.
And we don't think this would be in the long-term well-being for our state.
Now, House Republicans did agree to slow down future tax cuts, personal income tax cuts, scheduled for next year and beyond. That's likely to become a point of contention with the state Senate, where Republicans want to speed up those income tax cuts. Senate Republicans have already called out this House budget, and they're likely to get going on those negotiations as soon as tomorrow after the final House vote of approval here. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
A long day for lawmakers and our Laura Leslie. Thanks, Laura. Let's get you caught up now in today's other big headlines. Here are the 5 things you should know right now. A 19-year-old Massachusetts college student pleading guilty to hacking PowerSchool. That's right. The company's data breach happened late last year, and apparently this is the person who did it, exposing data of North Carolina students and teachers. Prosecutors say Matthew Lane was at the center of all of it. He entered a plea deal on Tuesday. He's charged with cyber extortion, aggravated identity theft, and more. We'll see what happens with all that information that he stole. No decision today from the jury in the murder trial of Terry McMillan. He's the man charged with killing a Home Depot employee. McMillan is charged in the death of 82-year-old Gary Razor. So that surveillance video there from 2022. It shows McMillan shoving 82-year-old Razor to the ground. He died a month later. The jury deliberated for an hour yesterday and all day today. They're going to be back tomorrow. We'll see what they say. So a Wake County middle school was evacuated today over suspected smoke. Sky 5 over Mills Park Middle in Cary this afternoon. Police say fire crews were dispatched there. They cleared the building. They investigated and they didn't find anything. Then they started things back up there. Class continued as normal. Wonder what it was. We're not sure. We're getting a better idea of how much more Helene relief aid may be coming to Western North Carolina. The State House is now calling for another $450 million. This is only about half, though, of what Governor Stein was asking for. It's also less than what the Senate had proposed. The state has already spent $1.6 billion, but the need out there is astronomical. And UNC is seeking to sell the naming rights to Kenan Stadium to a corporate sponsor. Whichever company does end up paying for it, the name Kenan will remain there in it some way, in some capacity. This was one of many things brought up today during the Board of Trustees meeting, which takes us to our quote of the day. I don't think Bill Belichick can give out more pizza, but that's certainly built a rapport with the student body. That's what UNC Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham said during Tuesday's Board of Trustees meeting. In case you missed it, Belichick really did give out pizza. This was him delivering a few pies to the women's basketball team back in March, and apparently he's been doing the same to fraternities on campus. Now, look, pizza's great. I love pizza. But the question that it really boils down to when it comes to Belichick is, will he deliver wins, not pies, on the football field? The powers that be in Chapel Hill seem to think so. WRAL's Julian Grace and WRAL investigative sports reporter Brian Murphy listened in to the rest of that meeting today.
UNC Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham, he had a lot to say in front of the Board of Trustees, including talking about revenue, NIL, and can't forget about Coach Bill Belichick. Brian Murphy joins us right now. Let's get right into it. Bill Belichick is already having a positive impact with ticket sales.
Right. UNC has already sold out of its season ticket allotment. That's 20,000 seats at Kenan Stadium. Those tickets are 25% more than they were last year. All tickets, 35% increase in ticket sales. They're talking about possibly shutting down Franklin Street for a concert series on game days. That's how much interest there is in this program now that Bill Belichick is the head coach.
And even talked about Coach passing out pizzas as well, too, so they're really excited. Let's talk about revenue, though. What are we seeing with revenue?
Yeah, well, I mean, UNC made a huge investment in Bill Belichick. They're paying him $50 million over the next 5 years, so they've got to recoup that somewhere. They brought in a new chief revenue officer, and he's looking at sponsorships for Kenan Stadium.
Lastly, NIL is constantly changing, right?
NIL started as, right, you get paid to sign some autographs, you might endorse a local pizza shop. Now this is NIL 3.0. This will be direct revenue sharing with athletes up to a cap of $20.5 million. And NIL deals will have to pass strict tests.
Conversation is not over. Chancellor Roberts will speak tomorrow. We will follow up with that part tomorrow, of course. For now, I'm Julian Grace reporting in Chapel Hill.
All right, thank you, fellows. A pair of multi-million-dollar settlements among two huge hospital systems in our area. So lawsuits are claiming that WakeMed and Duke Health, they tracked pixels online, sharing sensitive patient information. After the break, 5 on Your Side shows us what went into this settlement and some of the questions that still remain here. Kat?
Are you tired of the humidity? Well, I've got great news for you. We have some spectacular weather ahead. I'll let you know when you should definitely make some outdoor plans coming up.
All right, Kat, and today was Deborah Morgan's last day on WRAL. If you missed her final message to you, stick around for tonight's One Last Thing. WakeMed and Duke Health, they have both agreed now to a multi-million-dollar settlement over their use of tracking pixels. So the lawsuit claims that those pixels shared sensitive patient information with Facebook's parent company. But 5 on Your Side's Keely Arthur explains there's a big question that neither of these settlements has answered.
The suits are based on a 2022 report from news outlet The Markup. Now, they found hospital systems across the country installed a tracker called the Metapixel on their websites. And in some cases, the pixels sent meta information about patients' medications, allergies, and even sexual orientation. One of the thousands of tiny pixels that make up the image on your computer screen was reportedly collecting information about patients visiting their hospital's patient portal.
Those pixels can also be used to house code, to house information. In this particular case, it's a very unique piece of code that takes information regarding whoever is using that website at the time and sends that back to the web server of whoever is implementing that. I mean, in the case at hand, it's Meta or Facebook.
That was cybersecurity expert Clark Walton in 2022 explaining to 5 on Your Side how tracking pixels work. Nearly 3 years later, Duke University Health System and WakeMed are settling patients' pixel lawsuits.
Why is this happening to begin with? This is my patient data.
Alex Ondrick is one of the WakeMed patients who was notified by the hospital system that his medical information may have been sent to Facebook. Since that notification, he says he's been given almost nothing more in terms of details about what happened.
What happened, right? What happened? You haven't told me anything. I'm going to assume the worst. And so the lack of information, the lack of transparency makes me think that it's actually a lot worse than you're telling me.
WakeMed is settling their lawsuit for just under $2.5 million and Duke for $3.7 million. But those lawsuits may only offer a small payout to potentially hundreds of thousands of patients affected. And neither settlement addresses the biggest question mark in this whole thing. What patient details were sent to Meta?
I have no confidence that I will ever know what was disclosed, why it was disclosed, and what's happening to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Now, neither Duke nor Wake Med would say what patient information was transmitted to Meta when we asked. Now, both hospital systems deny any wrongdoing in their respective settlement agreements. And in a statement, Wake Med added in part that the court has not ruled that Wake Med did anything wrong. Their full statement is on WRAL.com.
Thank you, Nikki. And at least we got a statement from Wake Med. When we asked Duke Health, they told us no comment when we asked for a response to this settlement.
All new in the past 15 minutes, Granville County deputies say they have charged 2 people in connection with a homicide that happened earlier this week in STEM. 19-year-old Jose Antonio Flores Rodriguez is charged with first-degree murder. Deputies say that he shot 17-year-old DeMonte Ricks of Butner Monday evening, and Ricks later died. Deputies said they identified 2 juveniles who were in the car at the time of the shooting, and they got one of them in custody. That juvenile also is being charged as an adult with first-degree murder. Deputies say they are searching for other people in connection with this shooting.
Thank you, Brian. Let's send things outside. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is on our weather patio with a look at a pretty nice evening here, Kat.
It's pretty nice out here, a bit humid for my taste, but it's not going to be at this time tomorrow. We've got gorgeous weather ahead. 82 the high tomorrow with lower humidity, 75 Friday, 77 Saturday. As for rain chances, there is a 20% chance tomorrow. After that, we are drier for Friday and Saturday. Those are just going to be beautiful days. You'll have to make some outdoor plans. Starting tomorrow, the muggy meter drops today. We've been in the steamy category. Dew points in the 60s. Dew points will drop down into the 50s in the coming days, perhaps even 40s. And it's just going to feel so spectacular outside, all thanks to this cold front that continues to march to the east tonight. We do have that slim chance of a shower tonight, but the next decent chance for rain looks like it will come toward the end of Memorial Day weekend, mainly late Sunday. The stalled front is going to act as a highway for these waves of rain and low pressure to kind of track along the stalled front from the southwest. We'll be watching for rising rain chances. As of right now in the new model data today, it really looked like it would come pretty late Sunday into the evening and night. And Monday trended a little bit drier on the models today. Not a 0% chance for rain, but it didn't look quite as widespread. We'll let you know if that trend continues. We may be able to lower rain chances for Monday a bit. The beach forecast this weekend looks great on Saturday. Temperatures are going to be right around the mid 70s at the coast, mostly sunny. And on Sunday, we're looking at temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 70s to the north toward the Outer Banks and upper 70s to lower 80s as we head into the southern beaches on Sunday. I should mention a small chance of a shower extending to the North Carolina coast Sunday as well. Rain chances dropping off after this. Enjoy some nice drier days. By Sunday, storm chances climb back up to about 50% Sunday night. A live look outside at Live After 5 in downtown Raleigh. You can see some people enjoying some free live music. They've got food trucks out there. It's a beautiful night for it. 79 degrees, the sunset after 8:15 today. Currently, temperatures have a big spread across Wake County. Just in our county, we've got a 10-degree difference. 73 in Wake Forest, 75 in Durham, 83 in Fuquay Varina, 79 in Raleigh, and 76 in Garner. The temperatures are so different because of cloud cover earlier today and a front nearby. For tonight, lows are going to be in the upper 50s to lower 60s with just a small chance of a thunderstorm blowing through. And we've got some gorgeous weather after this for the fresh air forecast tomorrow. Head out and about, get at the fresh air, especially since the humidity is going to be just so low and it's going to feel so great outside. Here's your 7-day forecast. Looks pretty good overall. We've got a stretch of some nice weather ahead for the next few days. As we get into the end of the weekend and Monday, that's when we could run into some issues. But next week looks unsettled, but more summer-like when you have just kind of some of those hit or miss storms each day where not every county is going to see them. Live out here on the WRAL patio, I've been watching some people behind me. They've been taking graduation photos. There's a lot of high school graduations happening. Congrats to all the grads out there. If you're graduating over the next couple of days, you'll have some great weather for wearing your cap and gown outside. Dan.
Looks good. Thank you, Kat. One last thing for you tonight. It is one last message on Deborah Morgan's One Last Day. That's right after the break.
7 have survived.
One last thing to talk about tonight, and it's something many of you know by now. Today was Deborah Morgan's last day at WRAL. She served this community for 32 years with her reporting, her leadership, and her kind heart. In the newsroom, Deborah kept a jar of candy at her desk, not because she loves Reese's, but because she loves people. She cares about this new newsroom, but most of all, she cares about you at home. She cares that you're informed, that you're celebrated, and that you're seen. And I could go on and on about that, but that's enough from me. We're going to leave you tonight with Deborah Morgan's final message delivered on tonight's 6 p.m. news. Thanks for choosing WRAL, and have a great night.
Well, I just can't believe that this day is here. How did 32 years fly by so fast? Trust is so hard to earn and very easy to lose, so please know how much I value the trust you placed in me. I never wanted this to be about me on TV. I always think of you. How can I tell a story or ask a question that will help you, or some tidbit that might make your life easier, or maybe make you laugh, maybe even cry together as we share a tough moment? When you've told me you've counted on us and said we were your lifeline, what an honor. WRAL is such a special place. The incredible people I have had the privilege to work with over all these years are simply the best. I'll be forever grateful for all of you for welcoming me into your home. Thank you for making me feel as though I am part of your family. It is truly the biggest compliment I can receive. I can't imagine a more fulfilling life, and I thank you for that. Thank you.